Hello and welcome back. This week on Fort Fuel News.
Fort Lewis has some new art installations around campus. We'll show you where you can find them.
And this exercise science department has a new lab facility, which is exciting for the department itself, but has actually caused a few issues around campus.
And the third annual Glow Run to raise awareness for sexual violence will be held this Friday. Stay tuned to find out the details. Reflection, an art installation designed by international architect Volkan Alkanoglu, was generously donated by the Ballantyne family and erected on the east side of the concert hall. And in the library, a mural designed and painted by Rob Lindeman is on display. Rob Lindeman graduated in May of 2016 from the FLC art department.
And I interviewed Melissa Knight Maloney, the exercise science chair, about the new lab. Here's what she had to say.
Well, our lab next door was really the size of a very small classroom, and so we just didn't have enough room to do what we needed to do in there. And the new lab was the kind of the dance and aerobic, step aerobics room, and we kind of discontinued the step aerobics class, and so it was just a logical move to move over to that space so we had more room to expand what we were doing in our lab. Really, that was about the only space that we could move into.
And so how are the students reacting to the new lab?
They like it. We can just do so much more. Our senior research projects, we just have more space to spread out and do that. Like, for example, our biomechanics professor, she has a force plate. In our old lab, it was not attached permanently to the ground, and so it was hard to get good data from that. In the new lab, it's sunk into the ground, it's attached to concrete, and so we can actually use that to get usable data.
How many classes are currently being held in there? And if you would maybe tell us what they are.
Let's see. Well, all of our senior seminar classes make use of that. So we have 4 different sections of senior seminar right now. My exercise physiology class and my exercise testing and prescription class use that, as does biomechanics. And we do have some sports psychology stuff that we're starting to use more since we have a new sports psychology professor.
And are any other departments or classes being affected by this change?
As far as I know, the theater department used to offer dance classes over here, but they have a space that they've been able to move into, and I think, as I remember, one of the dance clubs was affected, but again, I think that they were able to work out a new space.
While the lab is a great improvement in space for the exercise science department, it has caused issues for clubs around campus. I also interviewed Bianca Rodriguez, Vice President of Dance Commotion, to discuss their lack of rehearsal space in the wake of the exercise science shift.
I'm Bianca Rodriguez. I'm a senior here at Fort Lewis College, and I'm Vice President of Dance Commotion. Dance Commotion is a student-led RSO organization. We have about 50 members at any given time. There's 4 officers. Basically, we're just a group of people that like to come together, and we have beginners, we have people who have danced their whole lives. We just like to give people an opportunity to have a community to come and move. The fall of 2015 was when we were at a loss for space on campus. Before that, we had been using Skyhawk Hall, which has now since been turned into, I believe it's part of the exercise science department, and that was a big room that had mirrors, and it had, we brought our own sound system, and it was just a space where we could all come together that was big enough to hold 20, 25 people or so at a time, and that's where we had all of our rehearsal space.
And what was the attitude among your group members when you found out that you could no longer rehearse here?
The attitude, once we found out that we were no longer rehearsing in that space, there was a lot of sadness, and a lot of frustration, but we're a really diverse group of dancers, and it really, in the face of adversity, really rallied and said, what can we do? What are our other options? So it was kind of a feel-good, we were like, are we going to even have a performance that semester? What's going to happen? And generally people were really flexible. We made it work. We had to carpool out. Dance in the Rockies is by Walmart, so people who were on campus, freshmen that didn't have a car, we carpooled, and yeah, we had to rally. And I think in some ways it's been really good for us, and it's still a difficulty that we come into contact with every semester.
So are there any alternative places around the Fort Lewis campus that you could have these rehearsals?
There are a few spaces. On Fort Lewis, the past 2 semesters, we've been using room 119 in the Student Life Center, which is great because it has space that we can use, and it has mirrors. The issue with that space is that we're a student-led organization that allows non-students to participate. So we have a big community that are non-students, and they are required to pay. So Dance Commotion pays on their behalf to be admitted to that space.
About how much are you paying?
I'm not really comfortable giving that answer, but
okay.
The policies of the Student Life Center is $5 per admission to that space in general. That doesn't only include 119, that also includes the gym and the weight room and stuff like that. So to abide by their policies, it's about $5 to get in every single time. So if we had a dance that had 10 people in it that were not student community members, then it would cost $50 to let them in for that one rehearsal.
The FLC Glow Run will be held in the West Hall Quad at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, September 9th. This event is fun, informative, and raises awareness for the important issue of consent and sexual violence on college campuses. Get out and run for a good cause.
And also be sure to check out the big yellow boxes around campus for your local news source.
We'll see you on campus.